Hi ladies, my name is Teresa Zhang, and this is my second year with the TechWomen program. I was a professional mentor my first year, and this last year I was a company champion. And the Kazakh trip was a fantastic trip. I arrived in the middle of the night with a number of other people, kind of not too many flight options getting there. And at 3 a.m., I remember looking out from the shuttle and just kind of rubbing my eyes and not really being very confused because it reminded me so much of China. The way the streets were laid out and just a lot of the architecture. And over the course of the week, I realized that there were a lot of other similarities. It was a Soviet influence. It wasn't just the architecture. It was, I think the most pronounced way that I saw it was in the amount of propaganda that people experienced in their lives. After the delegation trip, many of us visited a former gulag on the recommendation of Diana Soy. And it was such a fascinating place. Apparently this gulag wasn't even known of 20 or so years ago. It was just forgotten in history, and it was rediscovered when a factory or a business wanted to develop there. And when they were doing their surveying, they found bones in the ground, and it was a mass grave. So there was so much history that was dug up once they made that discovery. There's, I'm sure those were some of the most vivid memories that I had. There was one display case that had a wool shawl that coincidentally was just like the one that I had purchased a few days earlier at the green market in Almaty. But it was really interesting that I think it was our guide actually told us about her family and how they believed that the Kazakh people wanted to join the Soviet Republic, that was a choice of theirs. And now they think back, and no country says, no, we don't want to be our own country, we want to be a part of your country. And it makes me think about a lot of the things that my parents told me about their upbringing in communist China. So many of the songs that they know and all of the stories, it was all about nationalism. And so it's really a strong lesson for me how much propaganda can really impact your way of thinking and how big the world is in your view. So that's one big lesson for me. One way I thought that Kazakhstan really differed from China is actually in the position of women in society, particularly in business and in engineering. So having traveled a lot to China in my work as an engineer, I find that I'm treated with more respect there than in the US. It's much more common to see women in very high positions in government as well as in business, much more so than here. I think we face a lot more microaggressions here. In Kazakhstan, if China's here and the US is here, Kazakhstan has much, much further to go. And maybe two short examples. So in Almaty, we had a networking event with TED-style talks. And I remember before the talk started, I was speaking with Marie, and a young Kazakh woman came up to us and wanted to know what it is that we can bring as female engineers. She explained, because men are smart and men are strong, so what can we bring? And and this is clearly a very sharp woman who is planning to apply for TechWomen this year. And Maria and I said, well, look at you, you're brave. And you have a lot of intelligence and confidence that you came up to speak to us even though you don't know who we are. So I think there's a lot of strength where people don't realize that they have it themselves. And then one other example, I was on a panel with Bharati, and people came up to speak to us afterwards, and there were all these women in the audience, but there was one man who just talked over everyone. It didn't matter what conversation was going on. He said, "What do you think about this?" You know, it was clear that it was very common for him to be heard above women. So I found that to be an unfortunate situation, but hopefully something that is changing with time and with the influence of fabulous women like TechWomen. So thank you.